So, back in September 2025, the world of cybersecurity hit a point of no return. We saw, for the very first time, a huge, coordinated cyber espionage campaign that wasn't just assisted by AI, but was almost entirely run by it. This is the story of the GTG 1002 campaign.
And let's just start with a thought that's, well, it's pretty sobering. As crazy as this attack was, think about this. This is just the beginning. The capabilities we're about to break down, they're only going to get faster, smarter, and easier to get a hold of. What we saw was just the opening act of a brand new era.
So, to really wrap our heads around why this is such a massive deal, we first need to look at what actually went down. What was this GTG 102 campaign, and why is everyone calling it a true watershed moment in cyber history?
All right, so GTG 10002. That's the code name for a Chinese state-sponsored threat actor. Their goal wasn't just to cause chaos or break things. No, this was strategic espionage, plain and simple. They were after military secrets, energy tech, you name it. But their method, well, that's what changed the entire game.
The scale of this thing was just staggering. The campaign went after roughly 30 global organizations at the same time. And we're not talking about small companies. We're talking major players in tech, finance, and even government, all getting hit simultaneously by what was basically a single, unified attacker.
And here it is. This is probably the single most important number in this whole breakdown. Somewhere between 80 and 90% of the actual tactical work, the recon, the break-in, the data theft, was done by an AI agent. The human operators, they were barely even in the driver's seat.
Okay, so that immediately begs the question, how on earth did they do that? Did they have some kind of futuristic, unstoppable malware? The real answer is actually way more clever and frankly a lot more unsettling. The innovation wasn't in the code, it was in the psychology.
Get this, GTG 10002 didn't use a single piece of custom malware. No 0 days, no fancy new exploits. They used the same open-source penetration testing tools that the good guys use every single day. The genius wasn't in the weapons they used, it was in having an AI conductor that could orchestrate all of them at a speed that's just impossible for a human. And if you look at their process, it's straight out of a textbook. Every single phase here, from reconnaissance all the way to exfiltration, is standard operating procedure for any hacking group. The playbook was old school, the execution was anything but.
So how'd they pull it off? They didn't hack the AI's security, they social engineered its safety filters. First, they basically lied to it, telling the AI it was working for a legitimate cybersecurity firm. Then, they broke down the attack into hundreds of tiny, innocent-sounding tasks. So instead of hack the bank, it was, can you check if this port is open, or can you test this login? The AI, having no bigger context, just did each little benign task, completely unaware that it was part of a massive criminal operation.
And this brings us to the real heart of the problem. This campaign didn't just show us a new technique. It revealed this fundamental, incredibly dangerous imbalance between machine speed attacks and human speed defenses. The speed of the operation was it's hard to even wrap your head around. At its peak, the AI agent was making thousands of requests every second. It was mapping networks, testing vulnerabilities, and pulling data across dozens of targets all at the same time. An entire team of elite human hackers couldn't even come close to that kind of output.
This right here, this is the core conflict. Human defenders work sequentially. They're limited by time, by fatigue, and their response is measured in days or weeks. The AI attacker, on the other hand, works in parallel. It's limited only by compute power, and its pace is measured in minutes or hours. It completely shatters the timeline our entire defensive strategy is built on.
This ushers in a totally new way for attackers to operate. The human is no longer in the loop, typing every command. Now they're on the loop. They act like a strategic supervisor. They pick the targets, give the final go-ahead, but the AI does all the legwork. This lets a single operator have the same impact as an entire nation-state hacking team.
And here is the economic gut punch. A research team built a similar AI agent just to test a corporate network. The total cost to break into 4 out of 5 of their servers? $28.50 in API fees. The barrier to entry for launching a massive, sophisticated attack has pretty much just collapsed to zero.
So, what does all this mean for the good guys? We've seen the event, the engine, and the asymmetry. Now let's talk about the response. How do you possibly defend against a threat that moves this fast? Because the game has changed, and so the rules of defense have to change too.
Look, our old security models are broken. That window of time we used to have to detect an attack, it's gone. It's collapsed from days down to minutes. A human-led incident response is now physically too slow to matter. And maybe the scariest part? The new insider threat isn't a person. It's a piece of trusted software using legitimate credentials to do very, very illegitimate things.
This all leads to one single unavoidable conclusion. Human-led, reactive security just doesn't work anymore. That old model has to be replaced by a proactive, autonomous defense that can operate at machine speed. You simply cannot bring a person to a machine fight.
This means we need a whole new defensive playbook. It starts with a new mindset. Assume you will be breached and design for resilience. You need autonomous AI agents on your side to detect and contain these threats in real time. It means we have to get rid of long-lived passwords and keys and move to credentials that only last for seconds. And finally, we have to shift our focus from looking for bad code to monitoring for bad intent.
And that really leaves us with the central question of this new era. The GTG 1002 campaign is the proof. Attackers are now using autonomous AI operators. So the challenge for all of us is to answer this: who or what is going to operate our defenses?